I was debating whether I would do a vlog this week because the reality is that nothing has really happened, but also a lot has happened. And if that makes no sense, it's because there's been a lot of discouraging, frustrating things happening on the permit side of trying to even begin this renovation. And obviously the complexities of living on the ocean and environmental protections, and then structures not being permitted have complicated everything, and nothing is fast moving. So on that end of things, we haven't progressed any further. If anything, we've actually taken some steps back and had to try to figure out if we need to put together a new game plan. Also, Matt's been away this week, so it's just been Griffin and I. And usually during the day, Matt and I can kind of trade off parenting duties, but it's all been on me. So that obviously limits my time available to work on anything. And I want to be present for Griffin as a mom. So all I have is his nap time to get anything done. And that's household things. That's keeping up with emails and all of the boring stuff that keeps life moving forward. And it's only been a week, but it's also been a week. And when you're trying to move forward and you're trying to take baby steps towards actually figuring out what you can and can't do, that can be discouraging. I have a couple of projects that are percolating to create more space inside for ourselves that's not in the big pool room area. And we are also starting to shift our focus to the garages as well, because they are outside of the purview of whatever renovation we will be doing, and they need fixing up. So it's a perfect opportunity to continue on with projects outside of the house. You always expect to run into roadblocks, problems, do some problem solving when you're renovating, but I've never experienced this many roadblocks before you even get to the planning and permitting stage of things. And we were aware when we bought this house that it could be complicated, but it is much more complicated than we ever expected. And my only saving grace right now is that I'm staring out at this beautiful ocean with a rainbow literally ending in the ocean with the reflection of the rainbow beaming towards me. So that gives me hope. How beautiful is that? Maybe that's a sign. I'm all about signs. So that's just essentially saying that everything is going to be okay. I have really enjoyed this YouTube process. With other forms of social media, I haven't been able to get this in-depth and personal and share who I am and share what I'm working on. So I will continue to work towards releasing a vlog per week, but the problem is that you have to have content. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm so happy that you're all here with me on this journey. I wish I could share more about what's going on behind the scenes, but until we sift through all of the information that we've been given and start to really figure out a game plan, there's not much I can share, because I also don't want to state something that's incorrect or possibly shoot myself in the foot in some way, shape, or form. We're here for the long term, so we've got time to work this out, but obviously this part doesn't make for good TV or YouTube content. We've also put up all of our Christmas decorations, so there's that. And I shifted around the octagon living space to make it more conducive to how we use that space without the pool room being considered in that square footage. We moved one of the couches to where the table used to be to create a little family room with TV and play area for Griffin, and moved the table to the other side of the room. We also brought in 2 chairs that were in the pool room to kind of flank the couch that was already on the lower half of the living room. And it was perfect because then we had space for the Christmas tree. This also gives me the opportunity to talk about a couple of questions that we've received over the last couple of months, and one of them was talking about the actual grade of the house versus the ocean and how close we were to the ocean itself. As you can see from where I'm standing, I'm well below where the actual house is sitting. And we figure, we actually haven't done the calculation, but we figure we're about 15 feet above sea level. There are many, many, many steps down. If I'm counting from here, there are one out of the house, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 steps down with a grade that is slowly sloping towards the ocean. And from there, we are another several feet lower. So it's hard to really tell, because when I'm standing up there, you really can't gauge the level of the house versus the ocean. But we are perched fairly high. And even with the highest king tide, that was only a couple of weeks ago, and with the storms that come through here in the winter, the waves do only get to the beach area. So there's no concern about the water getting to the house. The house is one of the closer houses to the ocean itself, but we are still probably about 40 feet back from the water line. So we are also set back from the water and perched above the water as well. I think that was a concern of someone's, is that they were asking, how close are you to the water? And we are close, but we are not concerningly close. We've got this nice beach area for Griffin to play on. We've got this seawall that stretches the whole property, a whole 141 feet of it. So there's so much space back here. The only problem is that as we age and with young kids, so it's almost like at the beginning of your life and at the end of your life, all of these elevation changes, all of the stairs, the retaining walls that don't have any kind of railing, it's dangerous. It's not the most kid-friendly, and it's not the most aging with your home friendly. So we do want to try to address that as well, but obviously the elevation changes are necessary because that is your grade to the ocean, and that is your protection from the ocean and the waves itself. Got some beautiful driftwood that's washed up on our beach, lots of shells. And this is the driveway, the walkway that we've talked about often, and this is where I bring Griffin out to just kind of play around and explore. And this is just such a calming place to live. And even when the waves are high, the ocean is rough, it's storming, and it's kind of chaotic outside, it feels calm and safe and warm and inviting inside. You're so close to the chaos, but protected from it. And essentially, I think that's what home is. If you're fortunate enough, home is a safe, warm, inviting place where you feel like you're yourself, where you feel protected, accepted, and no matter what happens with the renovation, we've already found that here. So we're already winning in my books. We really appreciate that you're here with us. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the little bell to notify you when new episodes come out that will hopefully be much more entertaining than this one. Thank you so much for being here, and see you next week. Have a great one.